better balanced and they sound freaking awesome.
I think the band doesn't change drastically from year to year, and I think really only when you sort of step back and look at it from maybe the first year to this year do you really see the differences. And I think I guess it's more, the band is more in a groove. Maybe that's the right way to put it. They have the band building now, they've got the field, the practice field, they've got all of the equipment and facilities you need to be an excellent band, and the results show, I think. I don't know, it's from the beginning of my experience to the end, I thought that the band was fairly similar from when I joined it to when I left it. We were about the same size, we were still doing about the same types of things. I think we were starting to evolve as far as our drill was concerned. But as far as musicianship, I didn't notice we're not going around looking for better musicians. You get what you get as far as first years coming in. So I thought that the musicianship was changes, but wasn't altogether different. The best thing I remember as far as that is we lost a lot of fourth year trumpet players. And I remember talking about, oh, how are we going to replace these folks that graduate? I'm sure folks say that every year. How are we going to replace whoever, pick your strong musician next year? How are we going to come up with that sound that we have? And 9 times out of 10, you take this one musician who is a 10, really fantastic, and 5 or 6 people step up, and they're now all 8s or 9s, and that's how I described it to me as. And so before, when you said maybe one person, now you have a lot more that are able to make the entire sound better.
I think a lot of the growing pains are gone. Like you said, with having the band building instead of practicing in U-Haul and marching, half a field when we had to do the Michael Jackson show and we had to put tape down and try and figure out what were the yard lines and march that. That was not one of the finer moments. So to get to see them, they have state-of-the-art facilities to enhance their practices from beginning to end. We're not having to cancel them or go to Cav In to do an indoor. And those were time stealers. And it was, I could tell on the field when we were playing, we could do better, we could have done better. I think that's fantastic. And then I normally look at, the great bands, and generally they're very well balanced. Like you'll see a great tuba section that can put out, sound. And I just remember how top heavy we were initially. And normally, I'm not trying to stereotype, but like the trumpets and the flutes and the clarinets, they are go-getters, and you can see a lot of the leadership who stuck out early on were those type personalities, which is what we needed to bring ourselves together. But to see now, I just love watching on television. You can hear, a really well-balanced band, which is, it's an evolution. You almost never start that way with any new musical group.
Yeah, Maddie makes a good analogy. The next struggle, I think, for the band is going from the new band. I guess you're like, oh, we're new, so it's okay that we're not perfect, to you're now an established band. And the transition, both from the leadership of the band and how they interact, and just sort of saying now we're established, and these challenges before are now just, these are commonplace. We can interchange anybody, any one person, and the band as a whole will keep chugging along. And probably something, it would have to take the scale of all the buses and maybe the band building burned down or something like that. I think that's kind of what had to happen to stop the band before, and something similar would have to happen now. So that's the beauty of it. In the early years, if something drastic, very bad happened, that could have stopped the band from moving forward. But
The show must go on. Well, for starters, you get to put on your resume, and as a section leader, that looks really good. So, you know, those skills absolutely translated for me to lead a group of people in whatever circumstances you are. You're short a trombone, figure out how you do it. And as a nurse, I do the same thing every day. Like, you're coding a patient and you're short something, you're absolutely delegating needs, and it's the people skills that stuck around and really made a difference for me. So that was.
Yeah, I think another one of the things that stick with you is the network that you create while you're in the band. Kirby, I'm sure you know, as you've been interacting with everyone over these past 10 years, you can go a lot of places where you'll be recognized or have a lot of contacts in different parts of the country, different parts of the world, and you can draw on expertise from a lot of different places should you need it, and that's some of the best parts about the band, as Maddie said, the people factor. You know, we still hang out with folks that we met in the band, through the band, and I don't think we'd be the same without that. As far as keeping our joy of music, that I think, had we not been in the band, it would have been difficult to stay passionate about music, about the art of making music, I think. So I think I really appreciate that.
My house, Sarah Dice made chocolate chip pancakes every game day, 100%. People started coming over to our house for chocolate chip pancakes before the game, which was really nice to get to start. And it was just to do that and then go to practice, like you start getting pumped up that way. And it's nice to be ready to roll at breakfast.
I always called it the arcs. I called them sharks, and I would go around saying you had to go to sharks instead of arcs. I always thought that was very funny. A couple times, if you I don't know if you remember this, when we were in arcs and Mr. Peters was sort of frustrated at the sound that we were putting out, and he made you go into this really big expanded block. Just, everybody was 5 yards apart from one another, and you just got pushed back to the entire reaches of the field, and you had to play from there. And just having to do that and then bring you back in was just a whole different dynamic of sound. It was impressive how doing that. I remember taking my shirt off during the Thriller rehearsals to try to get the band motivated. I don't know, not sure if that worked. I definitely remember doing that. I remember almost falling off of the podium a couple times. That's kind of nerve-wracking. The first time we decided to change the drum major routine to involve throwing the sabers into the field, that was a lot of fun. The first time I got to stick the saber into Scott Stadium field, that was really cool. I liked that a lot. I think the other nice part about the band experience was the interactions that we had with Kappa Kappa Psi and the trips that we did outside of the marching band, but through the other bands that we were able to be a part of by being in this Cavalier marching band. I think, going out to Los Angeles, going to Atlanta, going to the ACC tournaments for basketball. Those are things I never thought I would be doing in college, and let alone traveling with folks. Those are unique experiences to themselves. So the fact that they opened those doors, performing in JPJ with the basketball band. I think that's the thing. It wasn't just the marching band season. It really was a year-round sort of thing between all of that, which was challenging at times. Always having something to do with band. I remember it got in the way with some some interviews or career fair type things with engineering, the activities that they would hold in the evenings that I'd say I can't do.
Or the best was when you tell your professors that you're in marching band and they're like, what are you thinking? Like, I feel like that was across the board where they're like, you have to be crazy to be doing that, in addition, but.
There was a group of chemical engineers that happened to all be in band. I think it was an anomaly of how many there were. But we all would always, we had to go up to the professors and say, listen, we have these, we need to be in groups, lab groups, and we have to be in the same group. Our colleagues will hate us if you spread us out, and we all should, and really we should all be in the same one so that we can organize our schedules around the same thing. So I think Ben Train, Ben Evans, Kara Graver, Paige Phoebus, and I, we were all in marching band and all in chemical engineering. So that was kind of neat, not insurmountable. So. People knew who you were by being in the band. I think it was more because I wasn't wearing a hat and sort of down there being drum major, but that there was a bit of notoriety that came with that.
I just think about all the different places that we had as a part of our game day throughout our college experience, which was, I think, the SAB, my first year as our little nest to try and cram all of us into and feed. And we did under
we had the
OHL.
we did the arcs at Newcomb our first year, and there was one game where there was a fire at Newcomb or something like that in the kitchen, and we couldn't go in or something. That was a mess. Then we did the arcs at OHL, and then we didn't do any arcs because the ground there was so torn up that they made us go somewhere else. And we're doing the band. Then I remember always, as a drum major, getting to take the little mini band over to Alumni Hall and just essentially there's no directors, just some of the more veteran players going over to Alumni Hall and getting to entertain the folks on a more intimate level, which was a lot of fun. I really liked marching down to the stadium and doing that. That was fun. Paint the Town orange is a blast. The energy there is just phenomenal. It's all these little things, I just keep going on and on about just these little moments that I really do remember.